All right, back in the field with the track stars, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. All right, we have a special guest with us today, Chad Horton from Rapzilla. What's going on, sir?
What's up, sir? Salute.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, so it's early for you over there on the West Coast.
Facts.
In the Poconos.
Yeah.
Like
Up
Tony
in the
Stark.
So how you been, man? You were with us over a year ago, since we haven't been on since the
2 years
pandemic.
ago.
Quarantine.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
that
a
was
minute.
2 years ago at that was at A3C, I think.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
so
I
it
was
was right after your
actually in
event.
the studio.
Yeah, and that's probably the last time we were there too.
Man.
It's been a minute. So how's
Yeah.
everything going? You guys just released your freshman list. What's been the
Yeah.
reaction so far?
It's been good overall. I mean, there's of course always some fans and always some artists that are like, so and so should have been on there, and I'm always like, okay, well, who should we take off? It's like,
Oh, wow.
usually people don't answer, but a couple people did. They were like, you should replace this person with
Oh,
this
wow.
person.
And you should let
But-
them make that phone call to that artist and tell them too.
But they
Right?
did it online, so you can see it. Probably.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying,
Nah.
like, hey, we're taking you off the list.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty good. I mean, it's usually overall a good response. I mean, we're just trying to celebrate like talented artists, in our space, and put a spotlight on the next class, the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
So Chad, you actually have a unique viewpoint into not just Christian hip hop, but also mainstream. You have connections in mainstream as well. What do you think? What's the state of Christian hip hop? How do you think we're doing in regards to impacting mainstream music and getting ourselves into spots? Has it been going better or worse, and why?
I think it's going better. I think things are kind of like the playing field is. I mean, there's a lot of variables, a lot of factors. Like, Christian hip hop had a space where, artists didn't want to be called Christian rappers or put in a box or, whatever, because, that was kind of the vibe from the bigger artists. But we're a few years past that now. And I think that the new cats coming in are just, excited and they're not really worried about that. And just in the industry in general, I think it's such an even playing field with, playlisting and just access to people. And I think the pandemic has helped accelerate that, but also streaming just kind of coming into its own as far as the amount of users using it, the Christian audience, using it, which is usually a little behind on picking up on technology and stuff. Historically, but yeah, I think the playing field is pretty even. And I mean, you're seeing people in our space like do great things, like on a sync licensing where they're getting into commercials and movie trailers, and it's a great time for women right now. Like they're getting a lot of opportunities and looks that are long overdue.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And you see people like Wande just killing it.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday we posted about her. She's going to be on a reality TV show on Oprah's network.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
And that's
dope.
crazy,
that's crazy.
Yeah. And so I think, we all used to celebrate those kind of things, like 8 years ago when they kind of first started happening with Lecrae and Reach and a couple other people. Because they had never been done. And so we were just like, wow, this is crazy. This is amazing. But at this point, it's been happening for so long now that it's like, okay, let's see bigger things happen and celebrate those things. Cause it's kind of like, that's the next step in the evolution of us, impacting the larger music world.
Dope.
Do you still think that the fans are still like here, or do you feel like they moved on to other people, or do you feel like what do you feel about fans of Christian hip hop? Is it because it seems like at times it feels like the fans are not there, but then when certain things happen, it feels like they are, but it's just a weird thing. What do you think?
I think it's like any fan base. Like if you've been around long enough, not you guys, I know you guys been around a long time, but like for example, if you're an artist that's been doing music and actually been active for 10 or more years, fans come and go, right? They like you because of one thing, and they want and expect you to do that one thing. And if you don't continue to do that, then they move on and they're like, you sold out, or you this or you that. And it's because they really like that one thing. They can't just go, I love that thing and I'm going to keep supporting you, or I'm going to just close my mouth and move on, but it's the same thing with, our platforms, because our platforms are essentially platforms to magnify the voices of artists. And so, our fans are all of their fans, as a whole. And so it's the same thing, like people come and go, people grow up, things happen racially and the country gets divided. And then a bunch of, white evangelical fans get mad and they leave, and that's fine. And so I think that's kind of what happened, is like we had a purging of the audience that was just here for the artists to sing and dance, but they didn't actually care about them as human beings or Christians or brothers and sisters in the faith, and they moved on, and that's fine. To me, I'm going to continue using our platform to support believers that are doing music that, their faith is not contingent upon, if you disagree or not, or if you are, so anyway, it's like those fans are going to come and go, and it's okay. Like it hurts at first, but it's like, okay, those are not really the people that we want supporting this audience, this genre, subgenre, we don't want those people. They can listen from afar, but if they bring that toxicity, then we hit the block button, keep it moving.
I didn't know you was coming on here to split flames today. That was deep.
No, I know how to do it, bro.
that was too real.
To my detriment sometimes.
Chad, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts about NF and the lane that he's driving in right now? Like, where do you see him as an artist?
I mean, I'm older, so I didn't grow up in the church. Like I was a fan of Eminem, to a certain point, until I got older and more mature. Like to me, Eminem is like skill wise is of course one of the GOATs. And so, when I hear NF, all I hear is Eminem, and it's not me hating on NF. Cause I mean, when I was younger growing up in hip hop, it was the worst thing you could do as an artist was to sound like another artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, and I love that time, but that's not the time that the kids are living in now, and they're the ones creating the music. And so if it's acceptable to sound extremely like somebody else, then it is what it is. We can't control that situation. And so does he sound exactly like Eminem? No, but if you have anyone listen to his music that doesn't know who he is, they'll be like, sounds like Eminem. That's the first thing that they will say.
Yeah.
And so I don't hate on him. We still support, his music. But for me, that's what I hear. I don't hate on him. Like I think what he's done is amazing. It's, a lot of people say he makes the same record every single time. And, like I was just saying, fans get mad at artists and say negative things because they don't continue to make the same music, and I've seen this over my 20-year history of doing, marketing artists, and it still happens today with artists that I work with. And so while you have those people that get mad that you're not still making the same music year after year, the artists that do continue to make the same music, those fans are extremely happy because they're getting what they want and expect, and they're happy. And he's killing it. Like he sells out entire tours, and he's doing numbers that nobody in our space has ever done. So I don't have anything negative to say about him, but if you ask me if he sounds like Eminem, I'll definitely say yes.
Do you consider him in our space?
Only because he's a believer and we support artists that do hip hop, that are believers, that don't kind of like cross certain lines.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't consider him in our space, but I consider that we put him in our space, and we know that there's fans that support him and they're fans of him. And so, you know, we have a responsibility, like, you know, any journalism media outlet is to provide, you know, the content that the fans are there to see.
Mm-hmm. I don't think everybody knows the work you do as far as breaking artists. I know some artists that you've helped, and all of a sudden it's like the moon. You know what I mean? So how does that work? How do you build relationships there? And I don't know if people appreciate what you can do for them. I know some people that they don't know. They may have gotten, you know, contacted and like, oh, I don't. But like, no, dude, like go talk to Chad. Like, he has connections. What is that world like, being that bridge? What does it feel like?
Jeremiah's talking about me because I'm sipping my coffee.
Sips tea.
Bro, I literally just woke up because we were doing Critique Fridays last night. What's it like being that bridge? You know, I think what happens with bridges a lot in the music business is they get burnt. So I feel burnt a lot. I feel like I'm on fire a lot. But you know, it's a hard position. Like, you know, I'm sure you guys go through the same stuff because you're a platform and you help artists just like we do. And, you know, most artists are young, right? And like, I always have to, when I get really frustrated, I talk to Justin, and Justin's very level-headed, and he's like, bro, you know, he calms me down. But, you know, it makes me want to quit, like, on a weekly basis, you know, basically. I mean, to be real, it's like,
we understand.
Yeah. And so, you know, I just have to kind of put it in perspective. Like, most of the artists that we're supporting are very young. They're very immature, or I should say they're not mature yet. And I gotta rewind myself back to when I was in my early 20s. I wasn't even saved. I was wild. Like, I would have, you know, probably punched somebody in the face at that point in my life. And, you know, I have to remember, like, that was me, only worse. Like, I was them, only worse, you know. And I have to kind of, you know, put myself in those shoes to kind of correct my perspective. But on the positive side, like, it's very rewarding to me, because I love to discover. The very first love I had in music was discovering stuff before anybody else discovered it, you know. Not necessarily like promoting it, but just hearing it, you know, and then going to my friends like, did you hear this? And they're like, no. And then I'm like, listen to this. And they're like, oh my God. You know, you were making mixtapes for people. You were that dude. Like, I was on street teams back then when you used to write into the address on the back of the CD or the cassette, you know, and then I would get promo stuff that nobody had. Like that was the real, like, joy to me. And I still have that joy when I find a new artist on Critique Friday with OB. You know, we're like, who is this dude? Like 350s, you know, for example, or Red Tips, or like half the freshmen, you know. It's like we found them on Critique Friday. And so, like, that's the joy. And then, you know, helping them to, you know, whether we partner with them on distribution or utilize our platform and social media to give them a platform and introduce them to the audience, you know, that we've helped build and maintain over these years. Like, it's a real joy to see, like, help people make careers, you know. Like, it's really dope. So yeah, there's negatives and positives, but like, I love that part of it is the artist development and seeing the excitement with fans, like discovering somebody new that's like, that's my favorite artist. And it's like, you know, knowing that we had a part of that is gratifying.
Hey, real quick, a question real quick. I always talk about that early social club run and like how you guys was like helping them out in their early run. Just talk about that just a few seconds. Like their run was amazing. Like, and I mean, they still doing their thing, but that early 2010 Social Club run was like, wow. Like I remember we would be on Rapzilla, and we were like who is Social Club? Because I mean, they came out with a project, the Misfit project prior to that, but then that Summer of George project, and then after Summer of George, it was just like out of here.
Yeah, we did. So I mean, my memory is cloudy because that was a long time ago, but I remember going to Flavor Fest, and I vaguely remember, I mean, it wasn't me, it was Steven Solis, you know, actually. He's like the Wizard of Oz of Christian hip hop, behind the curtain, rarely seen or heard. But he's like a recluse A&R. Like he has the ear, you know, like a rare ear. And, you know, he's the one that put us on half of the stuff that our artists that are the biggest in our space, before we heard him even. And so, you know, I believe he's the one that really discovered Social Club as far as within Rapzilla. And I think he might have even been the one that connected us to do the free project with them, the free download exclusively on Rapzilla. And so, you know, I remember talking to Marty and Fern at Flavor Fest, like probably 2008, 9 or 10. And,
Wow.
you know, he was like working at like a digital agency or something, or a marketing agency or something. And he was like, you know, you know, he's kind of giving me the vision of it. And he was like, I'm not even a rapper, bro, but I just know that I want to do this. And I was just kind of like, okay, cool, do it. You know, like, I mean, cause I liked him as a person, and we had already connected before that, I believe. So, but yeah, they did the music, and I was like, this is really different, you know, and I love different. I love eclectic, eccentric, different stuff, because I come again from that era where it's like, you're looking for something new that is not sounding like everything else. And they were that, you know. It was like this weird dude, this weird dude, Marty, with this street dude right out of prison, Fernie. And it was like the oddball matchup that was meant to be. It was super dope. And we did that project, and the way that Marty like interacted and communicated on Twitter was like unlike anyone else in our space. It was very like, he almost sounded like a 13-year-old girl on his Twitter. like the way he would word stuff and even type it, like stylize it. And it was just so engaging and hilarious. And it was a great part of their marketing like strategy. And it worked. And we did their, you know, the exclusive project with them. And it's one of the highest downloaded projects that we ever had on Rapzilla. And we did a lot back then. You know, that was one of our things. So, and then of course they are what they are now. Like they're on Capitol Christian Music Group, and, you know, do big tours and big numbers. And it's amazing to see.
Yeah.
So Chad, I had a question for you. How has Rapzilla survived the pandemic? What have you guys been doing creatively to change with the times and what's happening?
Well, you know, we're not a physical located business. Like we don't have a storefront or even an office. Like we all are just based online, you know, like we always have been. And so we were just doing what we always have done. And, you know, praise God, like we weren't affected that much because we didn't have to lay off a bunch of employees because we had a big office with overhead. And like I've always, the entirety of doing Rapzilla, I've always maintained a full-time job outside of Rapzilla. Because I never want to put the financial stress on the business, because that will prevent me from growing the business. Now also, you know, that could be, you know, a reason why the business isn't further, maybe because I haven't just gone all in. But, you know, as far as the pandemic goes, like we don't have a bunch of overhead, you know? And so we're also majority supported, which I want to change, but we're majority supported by artists and labels and like maybe a few small labels and businesses. And so most of the artists that are in our space are independent, right? And so most of those artists have jobs as well, and that's how they also fund this. And so you know, thankfully that means that most of them still have jobs too, and they weren't affected, you know, that bad because, you know, we weren't affected that bad. So that's how we've maintained financially in this. And then, you know, just trying to create new creative avenues that we could generate money through, like Critique Fridays is one that me and OB have done for, I think, going on 3 years now. And, you know, that's been amazing. Not, you know, like, yes, it brings in other finances, but it's been amazing because we have kind of built this system for our platform where it's like, you submit to the website. If we like it, we'll post it for free. And then you get exposure on that platform. But then we also have Critique Friday. So we kind of have like the door where you come in and get your critique and you get better. And then you come in and you get on our platform and our social media. Then we can partner with you on distribution. Then we're getting you on, you know, big official playlists. And then from there, you kind of are growing to each next level. And so we kind of created this pipeline or this system that kind of nurtures the whole career of an artist. And, you know, that helps the genre as a whole. So, but it's not, you know, just what we've done. It's like, it takes a whole community or niche to power a niche, right? So like people like you guys, people like RMG and Doc and Derek over there and their team, and then Aaron Knight and what she's doing with her artists, and you know, Mike Mack, and you know, the invite only people. Like, you know, we need more business people, because the business people, like, there's a million artists, of course, you know, there always will be, but everybody wants to be an artist. And so we need more business people so we can put our heads together and continue to grow the industry side of this thing, which kind of fuels, you know, everything. Because without us, you know, there is really no niche. And of course, without the artist, there is no niche. But, you know, it takes all of us to like really make this thing continue to go. And we have to all be creative because, you know, again, we're a niche, and you know, like, there could be a ceiling to this if we're not creative and we don't work together. But I think that we are, and we're seeing like the fruits of that now. So sorry, I was rambling.
No, that's good, because what I wanted to get to with you, and this, I think this is important for all of us, because there's a lot of other podcasts and shows that are watching right now. What does it look like? Is full-time possible in this genre? Is it big enough? What would it look like for if Trackstarz and That's Not Christian and the crew and all these people were actually doing this full-time? Is the market big enough? And if it's not now, how would we grow it? Is that possible?
Wow, good question.
It just depends. It depends on how creative you are, you know, like, you know, for example, one thing that we've been meaning to do for a while, I'm just like, it's my fault that it hasn't launched, like, is to launch a Patreon, you know, like I've been trying to do that for a few years now, but I just want to have it be around the right thing to where everyone can get behind it, you know, like, but you know, you got people like, somebody I love to look at is Belief. If you guys don't know Belief, look up Belief, Beleaf, Belief in Fatherhood. So like, he's one of the dopest MCs to come through our space, and he's mostly out of our space and doing his Belief in Fatherhood thing. And he's had a Patreon for a few years, and that really is a major part of how he's, you know, launched into where he's going now. Like, now he's doing bigger brand deals and stuff. But, you know, like, you essentially have to cater to your fans, and the fans are, you know, the people that are going to support you financially. And so we all have like super fans that are super fans of what we do. And so we have to utilize those super fans to help us grow financially. You know, like my fault, we haven't ever allowed a way for fans to contribute to us financially.
Yeah.
Like we've never monetized the listener audience of Rapzilla. We've always just partnered with artists and labels and films and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that Christian hip hop specifically could, and I could be wrong, I don't think that it could support like all of us to go full-time financially, but it also depends on what that means. Like how much are your bills and your overhead, and do they need to be that high? You know what I mean? Like, so it's a very complex question to answer just because there's so many variables to it. But bottom line is I think that we all need to super serve our fans. And once we super serve our fans will super serve us. And that comes in the form of financial support too. But instead, what a lot of us do is put energy into people that say negative things to us and respond to them and get mad. And then it takes away a lot of our energy and focus. You know, instead of focusing on them, we need to focus on the top 1% of our audience that are like super supporting us, and find ways that we can involve them, because they probably will help us go to the next level. But you know, there's people in our space that are doing things that we need to do, like getting into sync licensing, into other avenues that bring money in, you know, through music. And then, you know, people like us, you know, what we've done is we got into the distribution side, like you guys have got into the distribution side. You know, we've started shows where we can monetize those shows, like Critique Friday. And I know that I could get into doing consulting and doing Patreons where it's, you know, focused on that. But, you know, essentially what we need is more people doing the business side. Like we need less artists, you know, like we don't want more rappers. We want more people that will want to learn the business and do the business, because then we'll have more people impacting Spotify. We'll have more people impacting the film and TV and video game world. Like video game world is a way that we need to figure out how to get into, because it's like 10 times bigger than music.
It is.
So yeah, you know, we just need more people doing the business and putting our brain power to how can we grow this thing, this space, and how can we monetize it? And that's going to come through the form of more brain power and more relationship building with people outside of our space.
I think you're dead on with what we've been talking about internally as well. And I think you said the magic word is allow them to help. Whenever we ask our fans to contribute or you know, see what they're willing to do, we're surprised. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of assume who would pay for that? Who would, you know? No, but like there's people who love what you do that are like, no, I'm supporting y'all 100%. And you're right. We kind of have the 90% in mind too often. And they're like, people are like, no, I am down. I'm here. And those people have really helped us over the years. Remember what we're doing this for. They believe in our vision. They believe in what we're doing. So focus on them, man. I think that'll take us to where we're trying to go.
You know, I can't remember who it was, but I heard or read recently there was an artist. I wish I could remember the artist, but they said that they never hired any industry people to help their career after a certain point, which was an early point, I believe, in their career. They only brought on people that were like super fans because they wanted to help them and like desperately wanted to help them because they loved and believed in what they did. And those people don't have the shady side of them because they're not an industry person. Not saying that all of them do, but like they wanted to help so much that they, you know, that they did amazing things for them, and they didn't really have that industry side of them, you know, because there's a lot of people in the industry that will do people dirty. And that was just like blew my mind. I was like, wow, that is genius.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I got two questions real quick. One question is, what do you tell the freshmen once they make the list? What is your like? What's some wisdom you give them after they make the list? And then I guess the second thing is just like what do you see? Like how do you get people to work the background? Like how do we make quote unquote the background sexy? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we make that what people would like? Yo, I want to be a producer. I want to be, I want to work with Sync License, and I want to do that. Like, how do we get those people? Because, like you said, we get a bunch of artists, but like we don't have enough managers, we don't have enough DJs, we don't have enough stuff that can help this go to another level. So how do we make things people want to play the background? And then also, what's some wisdom you give to freshmen after they make the list?
Yeah, for the freshmen, I'm not sure what wisdom necessarily I give them, but you know, I'm in communication with them all. Like we have a group on Telegram with all of them in there, and we did a Zoom call the other day, which I didn't ever do either of those things in the past. So I'm trying to make myself more available to, you know, the freshmen. Like it's a group of artists that I want to focus on. I want our team to focus on, and, you know, because we can't help everybody at a certain level. You know, it's like at scale, it's like we got to focus on a certain amount of people because, you know, we'll be spread too thin. And so we want to provide our platform. We want to provide our knowledge and experience to them to help them grow. And, you know, a lot of them could end up, you know, not being an artist anymore and going into the business side. And so by sharing our knowledge on the business with them, you know, they'll either hopefully go on to be some of this subgenre's biggest artists, or hopefully they'll go on to be some of the best people on the business side that are doing great things. You know, because there are, you know, some artists in the space that have gone on to do really good things on the business side. And so some of the things we're going to do is, of course, continue to promote their music through our platform, but we're going to do a freshman album with them. And then that helps us to, which we did last year and we did in 2015. But, you know, that helps them to, because there's a lot of value if they just do distribution with us, then they'll have me, like I've done digital distribution since like 2004. And so like, you know, I have a lot of relationships at the streaming outlets because I've consistently, you know, stayed in touch and pitched playlisting to them and utilized our platform's muscle for them. And so once we pitch them, then those editors and curators at the DSPs like Spotify and Apple know those artist names. And so when they see their names come in, even if we're not working with them, then the value there is, oh, I remember Rapzilla was vouching for them and saying that this is the next artist, you know. And so you'll see, you know, after that, you'll see them go on to be on New Music Friday Christian playlist, for example, on Spotify, or, you know, other big playlists. And so we want to push them out there and give them our stamp of approval, which holds a certain amount of weight with, you know, people in the industry that are gatekeepers, not in a negative way. And then, you know, again, just provide them any knowledge and access to any like consultation that I can provide to them. And then the other part of the question was,
how do we make the background work look like good,
yeah,
so people would want to do it?
Yeah, I think, you know, you'll probably see me or Rapzilla, like I'll tweet every once in a while, like trying to crowdsource the people that are following, you know, who are tuned in. Like I'll ask who are, you know, expert WordPress developers, you know, in my network, who, you know, who are artist managers or who does social media marketing, like at an expert level, you know. And so I think that we just kind of constantly have to put that out there to find those people. But I don't think that we could make it sexy to get them to do it. They just got to want to do it, you know. And if it's not, like, if it isn't someone's like desire and passion to do the things that are behind the scenes, I don't want them, because they're going to fizzle away like quick, and it's going to be a waste of time. And I also don't want artists. I try to, you know, my prerequisite is like, you can't be an artist, you know, if you're going to help us, because there's usually motives there. And those motives lead to not a true, genuine want to do the behind the scene work. They're just trying to get on a bigger platform with their music. And that's not a long-term sustainable thing for me. Like, I want people that are going to be around for a while, that are going to help us for a while. And so Justin's done a great job at finding a lot of those people and building our team. And like, we have the biggest team as far as writers and contributors that we've ever had this past year. So I'm grateful for that, but we still need a lot more people in our space that are kind of already at a higher level that, but then it's like, that's kind of our job, is to connect with those people. So we'll get there. I think that, those people will find us and we'll find those people.
Yeah. And I tell you this every time I see you, people need to see more of you. I think you're doing that. I think you need to be like the Elon Musk, the Steve Jobs of this space. And I think where that can happen once everything opens back up is we need more of the events like you did at A3C. We need more conferences. And that's where we can identify more of those people who are behind the scenes people, because I know when I go to conferences, like when I went to South by Southwest or whatever, I get inspired, and seeing people speak and kind of talk about the behind the scenes and talk about how things are made. That's where the passion gets really birthed in a lot of people. So I think we need more of that once everything opens back up.
Yeah, shoot, I wish I was smart like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, but yeah, I agree. And we, we had some great momentum at A3C because we did it 2 years in a row, and we had a lot of people. Like, people don't know that, Christian hip hop's been around so long now that you got people that are, really influential people in the music business and the NFL and the NBA that are actors that are big fans of the music that comes out of this space. They grew up on it, which is crazy, and, we're not like the little brother, like trying to be cool like the big brother and get in. Like, we're on the same, playing field. Like, and we have people that look at us and respect us, even if they're not believers. They respect what we do. We, meaning like everyone in our space. Like, they're like, it's dope. Like, this is the kind of music that I want and I like. And, when we did A3C, we had people like the owner of BeatStars coming up to me going like, mad respect and, showing a lot of love because they knew the brand. Like, they weren't necessarily in our space either, which is encouraging because, we want people to look at our space and respect it as much as they respect any other space that's doing things in excellence, And Atlanta, man, like, you guys are the heartbeat of our genre, man. Like, so many people live there, especially now. When we do stuff like a conference or anything, like, there's no place that we're going to do it other than Atlanta. Like, it just
let's do it.
ATL, baby.
Like, we're talking about, like, it's not confirmed. And, I don't want to present it like that, but we are talking about, for the freshmen, like, we're talking about coming to Atlanta as a whole unit as the freshmen, capturing content, creating the record, trying to do a concert maybe, like this year. And, that could turn into a conference too, but it's kind of all hinging upon like where things are with COVID. But Atlanta definitely is going to be the space where we're going to do that. And, we look forward to like building with you guys on that again, for sure.
Dope. Chad, thank you for coming through. Make sure you go to rapzilla.com, support. They're doing some amazing things over there. So thank you for joining us again, man.
Thank you guys for having me always.
Good to see you.
Love you
Good
guys,
to talk to you.
All right, let's get back into it. You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.